Hello there folks, welcome back. It's 2018. Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Yes, that's right. Welcome back to Spoiler Alert. Apologies we were a little bit lax over Christmas. We were busy feasting on things wrapped in bacon.
And other things.
But well, you say that, but pretty much, why? Why is Christmas all about eating things wrapped in bacon? Why do we wrap bacon in bacon? It's crazy, but I love it. It's awesome. We watched a lot of stuff. Some classics, The Holiday.
Die Hard.
Bit of Die Hard on Christmas Day.
Now I have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho.
Love it. Currently going through the Lord of the Rings extended editions, on to Return of the King. But before all of that, it was time for a very Star Wars Christmas with The Last Jedi. Oh yeah! Reactions have been mixed. Yeah, reactions have been pretty mixed.
Yeah. I think we've spoken to a lot of people who've really not liked it, and then there are some people who also have really enjoyed it. So yeah, I'm probably 50-50 on my friends. But I know what I thought.
Yeah.
I've seen it twice.
We've both seen it twice now. The critics loved it, the fans slightly less so, it seems. There was a lot of outcry, some really interesting press quotes. It was a whole thing. But yeah, like reactions have run the gamut. So should we see where we're at?
Yeah, let's do it. 3, 2, 1.
Yay! Double thumbs up from us for The Last Jedi. Let's start with Luke. Let's start with The Last Jedi himself. And I know that so one of the big things that's been going around is like Mark Hamill, earlier on in the press tour, he said how right at the start of kind of filming, he went to Rian Johnson. He was like, "I disagree fundamentally with pretty much everything that you've decided for Luke as part of this." And he said that was more kind of like because his vision was quite tied to George Lucas's vision, and obviously this is a new chapter for the Star Wars series. But I quite liked it. I thought he did an amazing job. I thought
Mark Hamill.
Yeah, I thought Mark Hamill's Luke was like in this one was. It gave him more to do because he's a really good actor, and he had a lot more to kind of work with in this one. I
think there was a sort of a part of me, maybe for a brief moment, that thought it was sad that he was so bitter and sort of jaded and anti everything. But actually, I think, especially as the film went on, you found out more, and then his redemption at the end was brilliant, and I think it all made perfect sense. As you say, Mark Hamill acted it fantastically, which definitely helped. And it was good to have more of him and to sort of, I think it's fair that, you know, we had the Han and the Leia more last time, and then to find out about what Luke's been up to. Yeah, I was totally happy with it. Yeah,
I know some people were a bit disappointed that they felt that their hero had been changed somewhat, but like he goes through some really dark stuff, and I think like it's emotionally believable. I wish they showed. I think you made a really good point when we were talking. We've had so many conversations about this, but like you made a really good point when you said you kind of wish that they'd shown more of kind of what happened around Ben's descent to the dark side and the decision that Luke ends up making. But
I mean, that was probably my biggest problem with the film, to be honest. This film that I don't believe. So with Anakin, when Anakin starts going bad, you know everything. You know why. You know what his conflict is. You know what the temptations are. You know why he's tempted. You know that he's doing it out of love, sort of, and obviously anger. But with Kylo Ren, you just don't get any of that. It was just they just say, "Oh, he was bad," so Luke had to, decide what to do about it. But then you don't see why he's bad. You don't see him transition. You don't see him burn the temple down. You don't see him do any of these things, and he just sort of wanders around being he's just a moody teenager, and I can't take him seriously because I just think he's a boy having a hissy fit rather than actually is he evil? Is he dark? Has he got reasons? What is he? And then,
I think it is missing a kind of cohesive villain. I mean, Vader is such a great villain for the original trilogy. He's like the perfect villain.
When he's bad, he's really bad. Whereas Kylo Ren sort of chops and changes the whole time. It's like he kills his father, but then he won't kill his mother. But then he wants to, almost sees Rey die, but then he wants Rey to be the bad person with him, and then he tries to kill Luke. And it's like, I can't keep up with it. And then every so often he's just a bit weak, and then he's just pretty pathetic.
I do think this trilogy at the moment lacks a unifying vision. to a certain extent. I mean, George Lucas was such an enormous creative force when it came to the original trilogy, obviously. And then for the prequels, say what you will about the prequels, and like
a lot of people have said a lot of stuff.
People a lot of stuff, and they are when they're bad, they are really, really bad. Like episode 2 is like just one of the worst films, but that's largely down to terrible, cringeworthy dialogue and really creepy romance that's awfully acted. Awfully acted. Like, every actor is allowed one. That might be Natalie Portman's. And Hayden Christensen is the worst thing about the prequels. Like, shut up, Jar Jar haters. It's not Jar Jar. It's actually Hayden Christensen. He is the worst thing about the prequels. What have I done? But at least in the prequels, you have this unifying creative vision. Like, George Lucas knew exactly what he wanted from that prequel trilogy. And I don't think Disney know what they want from this one. Like, you have The Force Awakens, which is essentially a loving, really nicely done rehash of A New Hope, pretty much almost frame by frame. It's not brave at all. It doesn't take any risks. It's incredibly, it's somewhat defunct when it comes to originality, but it's incredibly watchable and it's really well done. And it's a nice kind of, basically a fan film. And then you have The Last Jedi, which is the complete opposite of that. And it's, well, let's get in a director who does his own thing and let him go. And Rian Johnson did, and it's I find it to be a really entertaining film, but I can see how people might be annoyed that it doesn't continue many of the threads of The Force Awakens. I think it just comes down to, at the end of the day, what you want from the film. And I want more Star Wars. I just want new Star Wars, but I don't think there's any point in making it if you're just going to just stick to the old story and just try and be really... sort of like pretend that you're still there. Exactly. If I want to see it, I will watch that. I won't watch a new one that's pretending to be that. I want to see a new story. I want new characters. I love the new characters. I love Rey. I love Rose. Rose is probably my favourite thing about those. We'll get onto that side quest.
I think they bring so much life to it, and having also some of the older characters in there as well is great, because you've got that sort of, you know, the old and the new together, and I think it works really well. And there are things still that I really want to know. I mean, as we talked about, I would love to know more about Kylo Ren's descent into the dark side. I would love to know, and sadly this is probably absolutely not possible now, but I would have loved to have known what happened to Leia and Han Solo in between, then sort of at the end of the Return of the Jedi, what happens next, and how their marriage works and then falls apart, and then why they haven't seen each other for so many years and seemingly haven't been in touch at all. I wanted those gaps to be filled in.
You made a really good point that Han's death doesn't really get its
They don't even
dramatic
mention him.
due in this film.
They mention it once, and then Chewie makes one little noise, and then that's it. Luke sort of looks half sad for about 5 seconds, and that's it. And then they don't mention him again. Which I think is ridiculous. I think that's so unrealistic. Like, Chewie would be way more cut up than that. Like, way more cut up. It's Chewie and Han, come on.
I was a bit surprised that Chewie didn't, like, punch Luke in the face for, like, not being there. And you find out, like, that was one of my big questions about the Force, from The Force Awakens, which is, like, if Luke can sense the future potential of danger when it comes to, like, Cloud City and everything that happens in Empire Strikes Back, he can certainly detect that, oh shit, Han might die. I'd better, like, that's going to pull you out of any funk. But they explain it like he cuts himself off completely from the Force, which is, like, pretty grim, in a way, I guess. But I would have expected Chewie to be a lot more mad. But that being said, Han gets a bit of a short shrift in this, but I really like what they did with Leia. I really like what they did with Luke. I thought they had some wonderful moments. The ending for me is so great. It's so great. Yeah. And with the context of everything around Carrie Fisher's death and, like, the saying goodbye that kind of happens between Luke and Leia, like, it's... Oh man, and it helps that it's shot beautifully. Like, the cinematography in this film is phenomenal.
Yeah, and the music.
And the music.
Which I really love so much.
Oh my god. Like when the Falcon's going through, like, the little canyon on Crate, and you have the music from that's like that harks back to A New Hope, when Luke and Han are in the blasters on the Falcon and the TIE fighters attack, and you've got dun 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 dun. It's so good. Little tingles stood up on the back of my neck. It was really fantastic.
Yeah.
I thought the Skywalkers got a nice swan song here. Poor Han.
beforehand. But what about the new characters? What did you think? Should we move to that side expedition?
Yeah. So I know a lot of people have been like really questioned this, and it was kind of like, well, Finn just became a bit of a non-entity in this film to a certain extent. And they didn't really see much kind of value in Finn and Rose's mission. And I will admit that like the setup is crap. Like the little sort of Skype call to Maz.
Yeah, which, I mean, is that at all realistic in the middle of a battle? Would she be on Skype? I mean, she probably wasn't on Skype, but you know.
I mean, it just seems a bit ridiculous.
It is a bit ridiculous.
I mean, it's not even like, for me, it's not even a case of realism. It's just kind of like, did we really need to shoehorn that character in for this? For like, just to give them the most generic quest ever, like, go find the code breaker. It's like, what? What?
Yeah.
But that being said, I didn't mind the mission itself. I thought it was really fun. I thought it built, like, Rose is a great character.
She's so great. She's so great. They've got such a good sort of rapport. I think.
Really nice rapport, really nice dynamic. And I thought like the little quest itself was like, as a kid, I would have absolutely loved all that. It was like really shiny bells and whistles, strange, massive llamas, creatures.
Yeah, they were great. And it was, I really liked the fact that they were doing something really nice and that she was so caring about the animals, and it brought echoes back of her childhood, and you got a really small but still an insight into her life.
And also the wider impact of the Empire there.
Yeah. I thought, and the children that were growing up in it and what they were learning now and how they were still holding on to hope for the rebels. I think all of that was great. And I loved the fact that the mission failed, because I thought it's just refreshing to have not everything goes right. Like, you know, the people, because there is you kind of, I thought maybe because they were going off on a tangent and they were going off on their own and they were like defying the rebel leaders, like maybe they would come good, and in sort of the natural order of things would be that they would prove to be the heroes, because, you know, they are some of the heroes of the film, and you think, oh, of course they're going to make it happen, and then everyone else is going to eat their words, and then, you know, these kids will be great. But actually, the fact that that didn't happen, I liked. My only problem was just that the Admiral person,
Admiral Holdo.
Yes, her. She, I don't know. I just thought it was a bit silly that she knew how volatile Poe was, and that he was likely, when he clearly thought she was escaping and running away and being a coward, and she just let him believe that, even though she must have known that he was going to do something completely crazy. So I kind of think that the whole mission could have been avoided anyway, and whilst I don't wish it was, I just think it's silly that it would have been so easily different.
Yeah.
And I think I think if you see that one of your men is going off on his own and doing his own thing and making his own plans, I think that you would have to rein him in, either by shutting him up, which I think is a point you've made before, or by telling him the plan so that he knows that there is a plan, so he doesn't go make his own plan.
Yeah, one thing that this film did that did annoy me a little bit was that it sort of told things more than it showed them. So you get that sort of line from Poe when Holdo steps into Leia's shoes after Leia's sort of taken out, and Poe's like, "That's Admiral Holdo. She was awesome. She was the Battle of." Can't remember, Admiral Holdo, and you know, you get the sense that she's supposed to be this military Leviathan, like she's got this great reputation, and he's quite surprised that she's got like pink hair. But I would have loved to have been shown a little bit of that, maybe, like a little bit of her being super awesome at the battle of whatever it was that no one can remember.
But I mean, it would have been difficult to
I know. But the thing is, as that character, I would have expected her to like completely just throw him in the brig, which actually would have been a great move, because then he wouldn't have been able to like fester like sedition amongst Carrie Fisher's daughter and a whole bunch of the other kind of like mid-management rebels. But instead she just was like, no, just go, leave this room.
Yeah.
And then what does she expect's gonna happen?
Well, she must have known. But then, I mean, obviously if she just shut him away, then he wouldn't have been in the film a lot. So I can see why. I just think
BB-8
when
breakout.
Is so,
BB-8's already on the mission. That doesn't make any sense. Sorry.
But I just think when something is so transparent, sometimes it's a bit annoying. But I think the mission was great. I think, as we said, Rose was great. I wasn't quite sure how the codebreaker, not the codebreaker, but the one they actually
Del
find.
Toro.
I feel like it gave the impression that when he made his deal to get out of their situation after they got caught, he gave away a lot more information than he should have had access to. It sort of felt like, how does he know that this was the rebel plan?
Like Rose and Finn don't even really know.
Yeah.
Or like, there's no point at which we're shown them getting clued in on the plan.
Yeah,
so,
I think there was a sort of a very, very brief reference to Poe saying something like, "Oh, if you don't, if you need to get the shield down now, or whatever they were doing. Otherwise, if you don't do it now, then we're going to escape or something, or we're going to run away or something." And it was so vague that if there was another more detailed conversation, like I kind of think we needed that
off screen.
Because when the codebreaker guy gives them the plan, they're like, "Oh yes, there were 30 transports and they're cloaked and they've just left and they've done this and they've done that," and it's like, okay, maybe your tracking devices have just found that out for yourself, but I felt like there was a slight jump there that I was like, hang on, how did you know that?
Yeah, I mean, this film is pretty holy. Like there are quite a few holes. I'm finding ways to forgive that. Like sitting in the cinema, I genuinely didn't really care. It was only like afterwards that I realised, wait a second, why did the Imperials have to do a ground assault?
I think that's okay though, and I was chatting to someone at work about this. Shout out to Laura if you're watching. That it's far less of a problem when you're watching it. If you're watching a film and you keep thinking, if you're jolted out of the world and you keep thinking, well, that's ridiculous. That doesn't make sense. Why have they done that? Why have they done that? How is that possible? That is terrible. That's not what you want at all. Yeah. But if it's only in conversations that you start unpicking everything and as part of you is almost looking for things because you're looking for conversation, you're looking for, oh, let's look at this, let's really think about the detail of this. If you then at that point think, oh, hang on, that didn't quite make sense, or they could have done this, or why they didn't quite explain that, that's far less of a problem because that's just, every film is going to have that.
Yeah.
And for me, it was absolutely that. It wasn't until after I came out that I started talking to you about it and talking to other people and then thinking, oh yeah, there was a few things that they could have cleared up. But also that we don't know what's going to happen in the next film. Like several of these questions really could be answered.
Like I know I'm certainly kind of withholding a certain amount of judgment just because I know it's a trilogy. You
can't write off a film just because some questions might be answered in the next part of the series.
I know, but I think a lot of people were quite angry that a lot of questions raised in The Force Awakens were definitely not answered in this film or met a very abrupt end. That being said, like things like Rey's parentage, I love the fact she's not. Her parents aren't famous. She's not a Skywalker. Yeah. I love that. I just really like this film in the cinema in the moment.
Yeah, and I love that you got the kind of. One of the things that I really love about the original films is the sort of the relationship between the droids and also between Chewie and the droids and Chewie and the other characters or like creatures, and they had that so much with Chewie and the Porgs.
Oh, the Porgs!
So cute! And that scene when he was trying to eat one and then couldn't because they were looking at him, and I was just like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And then being in the Falcon later and then like sitting on his head,
just like us flying across the screen.
It's so great. That was like the old Chewie that I love so much.
And I think this film.
BB-8.
Yeah, BB-8's amazing.
It's just awesome.
But I mean, I think this film really, really captured the flavour, in a way, of Return of the Jedi, because Return of the Jedi, you have the Ewoks and you have the comedy around those quiet, bubbling, cute, round, fluffy birds. And I know a lot of people now, a lot of people who grew up with Star Wars have retconned their appreciation for Jedi, and now they're super adults and they're like, oh, we can't possibly be love tiny kitty bears. It's like, really? They're super cute and awesome. They take down an AT-ST with logs. Shut up.
Yeah, whereas, I will love the Ewoks forever.
I thought they got the Porgs absolutely bang on with this. I think there were one or two jokes that maybe felt a bit flat, or maybe felt a little bit forced, maybe felt a little bit too trite.
Also, there were people.
Flippant.
There were people laughing out loud in the cinema.
But that's the thing.
People that were enjoying it.
Like the only thing that slightly pulled me out in the entire thing was the blue milk, which I recognise is a reference all the way like back to blue milk on Tatooine. Aunt Beru is there with the blue milk. It's great, but. Like, did we really need just the most aggressive milking and then chug scene? I'm not sure. That was the only thing that made me just like stop and go, what just happened? But yeah, that was weird. But apart from that, I thought the humour largely worked. And like you're right, like there were people really laughing their asses off.
Absolutely. Which is great. I always think that's a really good sign when there are people that they're sort of enjoying it so much that they have to outwardly enjoy it. And when you feel like that camaraderie with everyone that you know that is like there because they love the film so much. That, you know, everyone's excited to see this new one, and it's a big deal. And especially if it's like close to Christmas. I don't know. I think it's just a really nice thing to have.
I really liked it. And I liked that when the emotional end came, I liked that it wasn't super snarky, like it wasn't like the comedy sort of like dialed down a little bit there. And I loved Luke's last line to Kylo Ren. I love that it's very Han-esque, the kind of like see you around kid. Really, really, really like that.
Yeah.
And I really liked, the final scene between Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher, just oh man, so good.
Yeah,
so good. We haven't even talked about Yoda. Like
Yoda.
How good was it to see Yoda back and Puppet Yoda as well?
It was great.
Yeah, one or two people have questioned, you know, if Force ghosts can come back and blow up trees with lightning, why can't they go around shanking people with ghost lightsabers? And so I have a couple of theories about this. One of which is that like they only really appear to Luke. Maybe they're not actually there. Maybe they're just manifestations of his subconscious. Yeah. Maybe it wasn't actually ghost puppet Yoda that sparked that tree on Acto. Maybe it was actually Luke finding the strength within himself.
Yeah.
Remembering.
I think that's entirely possible and probable, in fact, that it's sort of... It could be just his force creating Yoda because he needs to talk to him in that moment.
We know he's damn powerful.
Yeah.
By the end of this film,
whenever he brings people back, or like whenever the ghosts appear to him in other films like Return of the Jedi at the end or the Dagobah system, they come when he needs them, when he needs the advice.
Hoth as well.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't know. I think it's not a case of, oh, they're dead, but they're coming back to life and that they can do things and they can walk around and they could help fight the battle. Like, I don't think that's it at all. It's, in that moment, he needs to talk to them and he needs their counsel, and Yoda's just awesome. Also, as you said, I think before, that they're on the most powerful Jedi island. Of course there's more power, and it's Yoda and it's Luke. Of course, like, if any situation
on the Jedi birthplace island.
If any situation is going to give rise to a ghost Yoda that can blow up a tree, is that. And I was so happy to see Yoda back. I was totally okay with that. So
glad we were. What a ledge.
Exactly.
Ledge.
So, what I just need to do now, I mean, I know that the film 9 isn't here for a while, but I want to watch them all in order, and that includes 2 and 3, and even though every time I see them, I say that I'm never going to watch them again in my life. I mean, it's been several years now.
I've got a slight soft spot for 3, just because Ian McDiarmid is just delivering all the ham acting as Palpatine. It's wonderful.
Yeah,
just
but the amount of time he goes,
it's just, it's so great.
We will do it, and I think that would help me to see them in order.
Yeah.
I think it'd be great. And I need to see Rogue One again anyway, because it's been ages since I saw that. But thanks to Christmas presents, we now can.
Oh, yeah. So that's the next marathon then.
Yeah.
Sorted. Star Wars. But yeah, Last Jedi. Looking forward to film 9 off the back of this. It's really, really interesting to see, because obviously this one goes back to J.J. Abrams. Does Abrams continue what Ryan Johnson started with this new direction, this new feel for the Star Wars universe? Does he revert to Force Awakens? Does he answer things that were brought up in this film, or does he seek to answer the things that were brought up in his first film? Like, there are lots of questions. It can go a number of ways. Actually, one thing, like, I'm just remembering things that I really want to talk about. I have just one last thing. Snoke and the showdown.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the best scenes in quite possibly, I think, in the entire Star Wars series. I said it, because the lightsaber battle is amazing.
Oh, that's true.
And the thing is, when I watch like, especially Return of the Jedi, especially, and you're looking at the royal guards in Palpatine's throne room, the red guys with the shoulder swords, and you're like, man, those guys look awesome and cool, and I wish they did more. And it looks like Ryan Johnson might have thought of that at one point, because the crimson cloaked Sith ninjas in Snoke's throne room are very reminiscent of that. And just like, well, finally we're about to see some royal guards kick some ass, and I mean, they get shanked a lot by Kylo Ren and Rey, but I really love that scene. And the scene where Snoke kills him is really well done.
Where he kills Snoke.
Yeah, sorry, where Kylo Ren kills Snoke.
I was like, wow, I missed that one.
I really like that.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I was, for a moment, I was a bit like, oh, was that not going to bring about a change in Kylo Ren's character? Like, and then when he was bad again, I was like, oh, really? But that's down to the fact that I'm still not, I don't know why he's gone bad. So I struggle with the fact that he was then still bad, and I was like, oh, maybe he'll just like shrug off his teenage angst and be nice again. But that didn't happen. But I was glad that Rey stood up to him. The important thing is that Rey did not go bad, so everything's fine.
This is the nature of Sith apprentices. The only way they become masters is by killing their masters.
Why is he even a Sith? Like, I don't get it.
Because he wants power.
Yeah, but
he just likes getting his own way.
He's just stupid.
But yeah, I want to see more of that, because the thing is, he has the potential to be a really, really, really interesting character, but I feel like they've shied away from that a little bit, which is a shame, because Adam Driver's a great actor.
Oh, I love Adam Driver. Like, I really, I'm not. None of this is aimed at him at all. I love him. I think he's great.
But you're right. It's like Hayden Christensen had too much and was unable to handle it because he was terrible, whereas Adam Driver is working with quite a small amount, but making it as good as he possibly can.
Yeah.
That weird shirtless scene where he looks like he has the tiniest head and his torso that just goes on forever. It's like, would you please put a shirt on?
that was unfortunate. But also, I think you've mentioned this before, like his power fluctuates so much. He's just like, one day he's controlling everything and everyone, and no one can possibly beat him, and the next day he's been beaten by people that have never held lightsabers before. And it's like, I really struggle with that. I'm just like, what are you doing?
The scene where he arrives in The Force Awakens and Poe shoots him and he just reaches out a hand and stops the blaster thing like midway, and it's like just fluctuating like that, and you're like, man, that is the most badass thing I've seen in a while. That's wicked. And then he gets defeated by Rey, who's never held a lightsaber before. I mean, he's injured and he's going through some stuff and he's emotionally compromised. But if like to be that powerful
and then be
that weak it seems a little inconsistent. But then I suppose he's supposed to be inconsistent. He's emotionally inconsistent.
Because the thing is, like, you could say, oh, maybe it's just also a manifestation of how powerful Rey is to give you an idea of what's to come. But then when she starts her training with Luke, she's so bad that it's like, oh, how could she possibly have picked up that lightsaber and defeated him? And then doesn't know that reach out means internally rather than
reach out with your feelings.
Yes, I can feel something. Oh, I'm being stroked by a feather. Like a little bit different.
I really enjoyed that.
I really enjoyed it too. I just think that doesn't tally up, because having been that good in battle to then be like not being able to tell the difference between feeling the Force and feeling someone touching your finger was a bit. I don't know. I just think that there was just a bit of a. Strange.
To be fair, like it's broadly similar to Luke in A New Hope, when he's just like he's having trouble with a remote the 1 minute, and then the next he can picture the torpedo thing with his eyes shut. A kilometre away or whatever. Like it's.
But it's fine. We don't mind plot holes because we love Star Wars.
I love it so much. Like, we walked out, both of us, with massive grins on our faces. Yeah. I'm looking forward to the Blu-ray release. I'm gonna get it as soon as it comes out. Watch the hell out of it. But yeah, what did you guys make of it? Let us know. Hit us up with your thoughts in the comments below. And we're off to see something very, very different this week.
Yeah.
Swapping space for singing. Pitch Perfect 3. The first one was great. The second one was crap.
Love the first one.
The second one was crap.
Not enjoy the second one. Yeah, also, I don't know if any of you are Pentatonics fans, but if you are, were you not also horrifically disappointed about the fact that Pentatonics were in it for about a minute? It's like, if you're going to put Pentatonics in an a cappella film, you put them on the stage and give them a whole set. Come on. Yeah. Anyway, side note. We'll pick up that next week.
But yeah, this is it. Will Pitch Perfect 3 be any good? We're about to find out. If you want to find out, definitely tune in next Sunday. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications so you never miss a thing. We will be back next week. Yeah. Tell us your thoughts on The Last Jedi. And we'll see you soon.
Week. Yeah. Bye.
Bye.